This is Audible.
Audible Studios presents The Dream Wedding, written by Renita De Silva, narrated by Natalie Dew and Jess Nesling.
For the Adamses, Sylvie, Mike, Nikita, Natasha, Dylan, Peanut, and Snoopy. Thank you for your wonderful friendship, for the joy, the laughter, and especially the magic you bring into our lives. For the fun times, the themed parties, the quiz nights and magic shows, conducted via Zoom during the pandemic. For your generosity and kindness, for being there through ups and downs, tough times and good. With all my love. How many of our daydreams would darken into nightmares, were there a danger of their coming true? Logan Pearsall Smith. Prologue. When the mutinous glower of storm clouds finally breaks, it does so to thunderous applause. The heavens are split open, silver tridents sent forth by a raging army intent on destruction, whipping the sea into a frenzy. Waves the size of mango trees growl and crash in tempestuous outrage. Just visible on the horizon, a lone boat struggles to stay upright, thrown this way and that at the whim of the weather, a plaything in the hands of a giant. The solitary figure at the helm is knifed by the saber-edged torrent, beleaguered by spray, and tossed by the raging sea swell as he tries to gather his fishing nets while struggling to control his boat. It's a losing battle. The vessel is battered from all sides at the hands of the scowling monster that the sea he's lived beside and fished upon has become. There's no reasoning with it now. No point asking it to show mercy. It's too far gone, heady with its own power. And so he closes his eyes and tries to gain purchase on his boat, which is cleaving apart, sundered by the relentless beating of the waves. As the nets slip from his hands and the water pulls him into a spiraling whirlpool, his thoughts travel to his three loves, his wife and his children. And as the water enters his lungs, he finally finds peace in the imagined comfort of his family's embrace. She runs after the car, assailed by the hail of pebbles thrown up by the wheels, blinded by the orange dust, suffocated by the fumes, tasting gasoline and grief and rage hot as chilies. She runs until it's a dot in the distance, until her legs give way and she sinks to her knees on the mud road, until gentle arms lift her and carry her home. Her home, empty now without him, yawning with grief for him, for her husband, the father of her children, who is never coming back. "You did this!" she screams in silence at the empty road. The car must have reached town by now. The taste of mud still on her lips, tears of wrath and sorrow spill onto the old sari that serves her as a pillow. She lacks the strength to raise her head from the damp, to open her eyes, even as her children call, "Ma! Ma!" Even as their small hands try to shake her awake, put their tiny arms around her, their eyes wide in innocent confusion. "You did this!" she shouts after the car. But the car is long gone. What remains is the image of a laughing, unrepentant face, as if the life of a father and husband, tragically cut short, is nothing but a joke. Words flung at her in the mud, in the spice and smog suffuse breeze. "No point blaming me. He lost his life to greed. I'm doing you a favor by not demanding my money back. Where's the fish I paid for?" Part 1. Chapter 1. Now, the locals. Picture this. A swish 7-star seaside holiday resort in Cornwall, favourite haunt of the mega-rich, all set to host the most talked-about wedding of the year. The richest man in India, in England, some even say the world, heir to countless billions, is about to marry a nobody, or to put it more kindly, an ordinary girl next door from Essex. What nobody knows, not the embittered locals, not the enchanted public, not the on-the-hunt for an exposé paparazzi, not even the wedding party itself, is that this wedding, already trending worldwide, is going to become the most talked about ever. Nobody is going to forget this unlikely union, this wedding of the year, of the century, in a hurry. The resort, all several hundred acres of it, is so exclusive and protected that the airspace above it is designated a no-fly zone between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m.